Thank you.
I remember sitting there.
Good evening. This is a meeting of the board, regular meeting of the planning board for November 3, 2016. We have 7 items on our agenda. Welcome those in the room and watching us on TV, and those who will watch us later, I hope. 7 items on our agenda tonight. The first item is to adopt minutes of various planning board meetings. We had minutes adopted at the last meeting for several of our meetings. We have no minutes to deal with tonight, so we will defer that to the next meeting. Item 2 on our agenda is a continuation of application for amended site plan approval for Rivertown Square project. This is, there's been a request by a developer to make a small change in one of the corners of the project, substitute some plantings and others for a small building that was there, and that's under consideration, and that we're going to move that one forward to our next meeting, I would say. We'll be working on that in the interim with the applicant. Item 3 on our agenda is a continuation of a public hearing for site plan and subdivision approval for 2 lots, proposed single-family residence on property located at 74 Maple and DeVoe Street.
That applicant called Steve Seacon, the representative, and asked to be continued to the next meeting. They couldn't make it tonight.
Okay, so, Counselor, I would guess we would not open the public hearing, and we would move to continue that at our next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Is that a motion?
Yes, I think
Is that a
it's really
motionable thing to do? All right, I would move that we do that. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Moving right along?
Moving right along. Item 4 is a continuation of public hearing for site plan approval for proposed single-family residence on property located at 7 McClellan Avenue. This is a public hearing, so I would move that we open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
You're 2 to 1. You lose something.
Good evening, Brian Zappi, Zappi for Real Estate Development. Brandon Zappi. So we're proposing the construction of a single-family residence located at the intersection of Broadway and McClellan Ave. We have shown the driveway coming out appropriate distance from the intersection. We've also shown the house being pushed slightly further. These are all comments from previous meetings which have been addressed. The house was pushed back slightly further, and the berm was shown up front going up to existing grade as it was previously requested at the last board meeting. Additional trees were requested at the front of the property along Broadway and the intersection right here, and they've been noted in the planting schedule over here as well. Also, I would just like to note that the no parking sign, they have been shown that they stand all along the north side of McClellan Ave, and there is a no parking sign shown on the utility pole right here. It is also on all of the other utility poles across from the schools on the other side, all the way down. As for those few changes, there have not been many. Oh, we did continue the sidewalk along McClellan Ave, and to put the sidewalk in, there is an existing tree right around here that will need to be removed for that sidewalk to be installed. So if the board wanted the tree to stay, then we wouldn't be able to put in the sidewalk for the sidewalk, and the tree would have to go. Then those are all the real changes.
Good. I think we have an interesting dilemma here. From my point of view, we have a conflict between the desire to maintain and foster our street trees and this is a good example of an existing mature street tree, and our desire under Safe Streets initiative to have as many sidewalks as we can, particularly in the areas obviously leading to the schools. And I think our challenge is to find a way to satisfy both of those desires on the part of the village, maintaining the tree and having the sidewalk.
I was just looking at the other, on the south side of the street, there is a grassy strip. As, you know, if you look down the street, there's, you know, rows of trees that are planted in the grassy strip. Really on the north side, there's just a couple on the south side, but, sorry, on the, yeah, no, the other way around. I'm dyslexic. On the south side, there's all the trees in the grassy strip. So I didn't know what the right of way was, whether there was enough room to preserve that tree and put in it's a 3-foot sidewalk you need, and, or if the sidewalk could go around the tree, or, you know.
There
And it's
is
a
a sidewalk on the other side of the road as well, just in case the board wasn't aware of that.
There's a, sorry?
There's a sidewalk that runs along the other side.
Yes, 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 yes. I know it's a silver maple, they're sort of shallow feeders, so the roots would probably be right there.
I guess,
Have a little difference of opinion on it, I think, and we were talking to Ed. I looked at the tree and did not think that it was in good health. It's now without leaves almost all together, and most of the maples along there still are leafed out. But Ed has folks that have more experience than I do, I guess, that could go out and take a look at the condition of the tree and give us their opinion. But when these maples get weakened, there's different things they'll do. Some of the branches won't have leaves, this was one of those. But then they'll drop their leaves early, which this has. So I don't personally think it's a good idea to save the tree at all, because I think in 4 years or something, it'll have to come down.
Yeah, if it's not healthy, that would make a difference.
But I would prefer to have a more expert person, or if the Conservation Advisory Board looks at this kind of thing. And so I was thinking, I'm happy to defer to anybody that Ed would recommend to take a look at it.
Well, I suggest that we send it to the Conservation Advisory Board as our code suggests. And I could call Neil DePasquale, the chairman, tomorrow and have him go out and look as soon as possible.
Neil's also on the tree commission, so.
Yes.
That'd be perfect, yeah, and I'd go along with whatever he
I'm
said.
happy with that.
I
Okay.
also just would like to note that there is a significant portion of the tree that does overhang the property line that will need to be taken down when the house does go up. So that would also affect the tree and the health condition.
you might want to coordinate then with whomever from the village is going out there so that he can be aware of that also.
I just have a question about the village. I mean, since the other trees on the south side are planted in the village right of way, and it's sort of a nice alley, would the village consider putting in another tree, or do you don't want any trees?
The village typically, in a situation like this, where we're removing a tree because of a project, it's usually required of the applicant to plant street trees.
Oh, okay, so another tree could be put in that grassy strip and,
Yes,
Oh, okay.
smaller, something that wouldn't develop as large and destroy the sidewalk.
that makes sense.
So it should be something that they agree to put in and that Gary from DPW agrees to accept.
Okay,
And sometimes you get two for the price of one. I should say, I'm not in favor of taking trees down generally. I just looked at this one, I did not like the look of it, that's all.
Well, yeah, I think it would be helpful to have somebody that knows more about trees than I do, and even perhaps you, I don't know.
I'm happy to have a more expert person look at it.
But the idea of replacing it would be a good step, but it's hard to replace a 50-year-old tree.
No, we can put two smaller trees.
Two smaller trees, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll have to
What is the village desire rule now on putting sidewalks in? I know we as a board always are looking to add to our sidewalk. Is it a requirement near a school? Is
I
that?
believe we have a safe
Yeah, I
streets
forget what
to
the-
school.
The complete streets, I forget what it says specifically, but, this would be a great,
Yeah,
neighborhood, people
I
would
mean,
walk
you
to
would-
school.
Yeah, especially with new families there.
Yeah, it
So
seems
I
like a
think-
good place for a sidewalk.
Yeah, I mean, I think we want a sidewalk for sure. It's just a question of how we can deal with the tree.
We have no problem placing 2 or 3 more other smaller trees between the sidewalk and the curb.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
If they're gonna have to lopside this tree to get it away from the construction of the house, it's almost a no-brainer that it's failing now. After that one-sided pruning, it's gonna fail even faster. So I'll still have Neil go out and look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe suggest another tree, other trees to plant.
Mhm.
That would be good. That would be good.
Thanks.
Now, George, you mentioned something, I know we spoke about it before. The stop sign, the no parking sign is 35 feet off of McClellan, off of Broadway. Onto McClellan, that goes for each of the streets going down as you go towards town. Did you have an issue with that? It wasn't in the code or something, but it's there. I mean, if all the streets have it, it seems,
I think that, not only that, but I think they may need more, and they may need to lose the space, because if they're stacking, and the applicant and myself talked about that, you're gonna look at it today and see what kind of stacking issues you have. But if there is stacking for some, this driveway's blocked, and someone can't get into the driveway, and someone's pulling in off of Broadway, and someone has to go around a car, then that 40 feet is not enough. Might need 60 feet or more, so you might need to lose a space beyond the utility pole. So the utility pole to the road, I'm not sure if that one was in the code, but it's beyond the utility pole, that
Right.
might be needed.
I mean, so you're talking about, if you have an 18-foot car that's turning left, at that exact time, there's gonna have to be a second car pulling off of McClellan to go onto Broadway, 2 cars stacked, where they may have to wait a second to go on. And then now, at that same time, there has to be more than 3 or more cars coming on to McClellan.
That's correct.
And one of those cars has to be going into the driveway.
That's correct. And we get, you know,
It-
this
it-
is a road with, this is a road with thousands of cars a day,
This is a busy
so,
road, yeah.
Broadway is pretty busy.
Broadway's very
But-
busy.
But McClellan, there's probably, you know, there's a handful, and some people might use it as a cut through, I don't know. But-
McClellan's, I mean, my experience, it's not that busy.
So when you were out there today looking, was there any?
People park there to walk to.
Throughout the day, I was there for a while, there was never more than 2 cars built up at the intersection at any given time.
I'm just saying, if the request is, do we need to take out 3 or 4 more spaces on the side, on the south side? I don't know if that's so, I don't know if the board would be so keen on that, the village board, excuse me. I don't think they want to lose parking anyway. I know people do use that area for parking to either walk to the school, to walk to Mercy, or the elementary school there,
And I would just like
and
to
the high school.
additionally note that being no 2 cars piled up at the same time, 2 cars would bring us back to the intersection to about here, which vehicles still turning off Broadway still has enough room to pull into here, because the no parking sign is from here back, so there is enough room for the car to turn.
I mean, do we want to do a thing maybe, no left turn into the driveway? Like, if you're coming off of Broadway, you just gotta go down the street and U-turn it? Not lose parking?
There is another problem there, is that we had Betsy look at the code, I think George did too, and the north side of the street is marked for no parking, but our traffic code does not include the no parking sign that happens to be there. So in any event, it's a logical place to put a no parking sign, but apparently it's not enforceable because it's not in the code.
Could have been pre-code,
Yeah, anyway, so that either way, there was a need to approach the Board of Trustees. I think the board would want some level of no parking from the intersection of Broadway onto McClellan. The question is how far they would want to move that sign. So
Legally, I think it's 20 feet now, isn't it? By standard.
but there's a sign there now that's not necessarily in the right location.
There are several other signs all along the neighboring streets as you go south on Broadway, and we believe it's there for the schools, for picking up the children, that they don't want parking on any of those intersections.
So, Donna, were you saying there's a general code? Item
I think
that's-
the standard is, isn't it 20 feet from the,
I don't know.
And that
From a corner?
Yeah,
from the
Could be.
corner,
No parking.
no parking.
is it 15 or 20, is it?
I'm not sure the exact
I
number.
think it's one.
This would have to be more than 20 feet
20 feet.
for the driveway.
Yeah, right now it's 35, you said, is the measurement?
Yeah, right now we have 35 feet to the beginning of the driveway from the intersection and it is about 40 feet from the intersection right now, the no parking sign on the
About
south side.
40, okay.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of the
Driveway.
I think there's two options that come up at this point. The applicant, the problem in putting the driveway here is that a car turning from Broadway onto McClellan, wanting to turn into that driveway, that could block people coming from Broadway onto McClellan and have their car stuck out into the street. So there's a need not to allow cars to be parked so close that it would block access that way. So there's two options. That one would be to go to the Board of Trustees to request that the no parking be designed to be adequate for safety on that corner. And the other would be to move the driveway, which would be to reverse it and put the driveway to the rear of the, which we had discussed before as a possibility, but because of the grading, the applicant preferred to put it here. If you can't get the necessary clearance for the no parking area, you may have to rework that.
Well, I just think from looking at it as a potential homeowner, I think flipping it is not a desirable thing. You can't move the level part of the lawn to the front yard, it's gotta be in the back, so I think, you know,
This is a better plan.
this is a better plan.
There's also a note here, you have meet New York State DOT standards for residential driveways. That's the 35 feet
Yes.
to a
There's
state
a-
road intersection.
Yeah, for a state, that's actually even coming off of a state road, there was no town standard as far
Right,
as.
right, it's coming off, so Broadway's a state road, it's coming off state road, it's a 35-foot requirement. Probably because of the issue, you wanna have one car to be able to stack, like we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I mean, if you wanna go to the board, I mean, I guess the thought process was, oh, you gotta apply to the Board of Trustees to change the code, to eliminate parking, and also change the no parking sign, which is a longish process. That may not lead, I don't know, I don't think the board wants to lose any parking, then it,
That would also require a public hearing for the Board of
absolutely.
Trustees.
Yeah, so I mean, that's why it's longish. I mean, you're talking mid-December before you guys would even consider it.
This road really does not get too much traffic for us to have that issue as far as parking, especially with the current sign out there.
If this turns into a problem, the board can address it at any time, correct?
What do you mean?
Well, if, let's say, there continues to be additional development in this neighborhood, they're getting more traffic there, this starts to turn into a problem, the board can address it at
To
any time,
address the parking
right?
on the north side?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
They can still consider it, but the question is, do you make it a condition? If you like the driveway there,
well,
do you make this a condition? I guess you could.
I mean, personally, I would like the driveway where it's presented by the applicant, but.
The width of the roadway, I don't think that they're gonna wanna ever allow parking on the north side. It's just one side, they have a lot of those neighborhood streets are the same, one side, no parking, the other side, you can parking.
No parking.
Yeah,
That's,
and
go
there's,
through there, have a look, it's a very
and
nice.
there's one lane going through is what you end up with, even with that, so.
So I don't think they'll allow it on the north side ever, and they don't like losing the spaces
No.
for the neighbors, so I don't know where that stands. I think to keep the driveway location where it is, that we have to approach the Board of Trustees with the.
Yeah, okay. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone that would like to speak on this issue, I should have mentioned earlier that we did have one letter from a neighbor, Pete Barnett, asking us to put in our, any motion we made, certain language that we can talk about when we get to that point, about having a porch on McClellan, on the McClellan side. You want to talk about traffic? No, if you're going to talk, I mean, you don't have to talk.
Pete Barron, 542 Broadway. Yeah, traffic can vary, school drop-off pickup, there's no traffic around there during the day. Otherwise, there's only really one half space facing McClellan,
Right.
and that's 13 McClellan, which is next door setback by a distance. Just wondering on the depiction of the landscaping, we've seen the landscaping start to come in on houses that were previously approved. And I suppose there's going to be more there, but you're still working on the front. Mr. Delagarza was mentioning the possibility of a specimen tree up front. If you approach the property from the town, heading north on Norway, right now you're going to have, right now you have 2 large houses, you're going to have 3 large houses. The specimen tree, Mr. Delagarza was talking about, was talking about a little bit, something to consider. Again, appreciate the street trees. I think Mr. Zappi Senior mentioned that last week, last month as well. That's all I would offer.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
What's next?
Well, I look for guidance from the board. I think we're prepared to act on this at this point, perhaps with some additions or revisions.
Just a condition, they just gotta go before the Board of Trustees? Is that what it is, or?
No.
Depends what you guys want. I mean, there's the issue of the tree and the parking, right? Those are the 2 issues.
Yeah.
The tree? I think-
Sounds like the tree is, I mean, we still have Neil look at it,
Yeah, that's resolved.
but it seems that it's resolved.
Yeah. Right. No, this doesn't go to the board.
Oh, okay. But the parking does.
Parking
later.
does, if he has to move
Well,
the
the
driveway.
parking, yeah, if you're gonna,
But doesn't that, do they have to get that ruling from the Board of Trustees, before they can
I
decide
think
on that
if
driveway?
the board feels that stacking 2 cars is enough, then don't make it a condition, right? So the condition should be the removal and replacement of street trees according to the CAB, and the addition of a specimen tree in the front yard. So, and then, like somebody suggested, if the parking becomes an issue, the traffic becomes an issue, the Board of Trustees could take it up themselves.
I don't think there's any action for the board at this point, or your board.
Well, unless the parking thing has to be moved, unless you have to move parking spaces.
Yeah. So,
So,
I don't feel the need to include that at this time.
no,
no.
okay.
So let's add, whatever you do, add the 2 conditions, like Ed indicated, the specimen tree in the front yard and tree removal along McClellan on the north side should be approved by the CAB.
Yeah.
And it's replacement.
Replacement of street
And
trees.
replacement, yeah, removal and replacement.
At least 2.
And no porch on the McClellan side. Dwight?
Can't you not? What's the plan now? There's just sort of an overhang over the?
Yeah, there's just, like a stoop with not even an overhang. We're trying to get as far away from the property line as possible.
Like protected from getting ice and stuff on it, there's no little roof over it or anything?
Yeah, we have yet to go in front of the architectural review board, but we are planning to do at least some kind of overhang similar to the other 2, maybe like a little shed roof or something that'll overhang maybe 18 inches or something.
18-inch overhang instead.
Open porch or something.
Okay. And the CAB for the tree, and the addition of street trees.
Removal and replacement.
Okay. I can make those adjustments.
Okay.
With 2 to 3 street trees is what we got. Of the size and spec that has approved by the DPW.
And it was 3 inches and 3-inch tree with 15 feet height?
Something that will survive.
Well, the 3-inch tree, 3-inch caliber tree.
Mhm.
Okay. DPW.
I got some I can pull out of my yard.
None more.
Oaks, nice oaks.
Need a permit.
The permit, that's it.
Okay, I think I can fix up everything else that we discussed.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion, and then you can fill in the blanks. Okay? All right, I make the following motion. The Village of Dobbs Ferry Planning Board resolution authorizing site plan approval for the development of a single-family house at 7 McClellan Avenue, I guess. Whereas Zapico Construction has applied for site plan approval to construct a single-family house at 7 McClellan and denoted on the tax assessment maps as section 3.50, block 6, lot 21, and whereas the following plans and documents were submitted, and there's a list of what we've received in the process. Excuse me, whereas the planning board has inspected the property and is familiar with the nature of the site and surrounding area and the proposed improvement plans and use of property, and whereas a public hearing was held on the subject a public hearing was held on October 5 and continued to November 4, whereas the planning board has considered all comments, both oral and written, to understand the property's characteristics and precise location of the proposed improvements in the context of the adjoining neighboring residents, and whereas the subject application consists of the construction of a new single-family house on a lot which previously contained a single-family house, and therefore no new burden on the village's recreation facilities is created and no recreation fee required, and whereas the planning board has reviewed the staff report prepared by James J. Hahn Engineering dated October 26 for the application, whereas the construction of a single-family house is a type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore exempt from further environmental review. Therefore, be resolved that the site plan reviewed herein is consistent with the village's LWRP and vision plan. Be it further resolved that the planning board of the village of Dobbs Ferry herein grants site plan approval for the subject application conditioned on the following: all applicable provisions of the site plan regulations, other applicable county and state shall be met. Prior to the issuance of building permit, all required site planning and engineering review fees shall be paid, and all items in the village consulting engineer's memo shall be addressed to his satisfaction. A maintenance easement for a shared wall should be provided for review by the village attorney. Due to the proximity of the proposed driveway curb cut to the intersection of Route 9, no parking signage may be required to be relocated. You can change this as required, Dwight. The applicant shall be responsible for relocation and installation of any such signage at the direction of the chief of police. The final location, size, and type of planning shall be subject to the approval of the village's consulting landscape architect with input from the village engineer regarding potential impact on the proposed drainage system. Such landscaping shall be installed and maintained by the applicant for a 1-year period.
They shall include a specimen tree as selected by the village's landscape architect. That's what we're doing?
Street tree, yeah.
No, this is the,
specimen
Oh,
tree.
no, the one in the front yard, right, sorry, right. Yes. The proposed new sidewalk along McClellan Avenue shall be constructed to village standards at the direction of the Director of Public Works and shall be completed prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
and what should we add in here, and shall include removal
Potential, yeah, well,
of the existing
Silver maple.
silver maple, subject to the CAV, and installation of 2 to 3 new trees, street trees that are appropriate as determined by the public works,
okay.
something like that.
The following language shall be added to the plans, approved subject to all requirements and conditions of a resolution dated November 4, 2016, Planning Board of Village of Dobbs Ferry, any change, blah, blah, blah.
Number 8 to add in there, which or make it a new 7, move that to 8, would be the, no porch is proposed to be constructed facing McClellan, but an 18-inch overhang to protect the front steps is
Be it further resolved, this resolution shall have the effective date of November 4. I'm making the motion. Is there a second?
Third, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's the 3rd. That's my typo.
Today, the 3rd today.
We didn't lose it. Daylight savings. Who seconded?
I did.
I don't know who was the last one to vote.
All in favor?
Do we close the public hearing?
I think, if we didn't, we should. I move to close the public hearing. I think we did. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item number 5, continuation of pre-submission conference for site plan review of proposed new 2-car parking area at street levels, new steps and walkway on property located at 26 Bradley Street.
Good evening, my name is Walter Trey, I'm a surveyor. Tomorrow's is the site, it's me, the site plan is the architect referred to the site plan. My part of it is the design of the retaining walls, but this is a few things that I'd like to discuss with you, okay? I believe you did address most of the comments, okay, the engineering comments, okay? There was some on my plan that I did not resubmit yet, and it has to do with the showing curve over here, utilities and reforming utilities. However, I think there is a memo that I got that says you're gonna have to go to the village board today because of the issue with these walls, which will be in the public right of way, so I need some direction on that, as to what we should do, okay? I still think that we need to put the walls in, I don't think you can accomplish it without putting the walls in. The other thing that came up, okay, we got shown on the plan, is there was a large silver maple over here, which is in pretty bad shape, and so we'd like to take that down. So it's gonna have to be, some kind of permit to take the tree down. So I guess I really would like some direction as to what we should do with the sidewalk and the curbs,
So
the walls.
what's the top of wall by the curb?
Say again, the elevation?
Yeah. Because if you start at like curb height and then work up slowly,
Yes.
then it's not gonna get in the way of a car door or
Yeah.
be a tripping hazard like that. And happens a lot. But when it comes out to the curb at 2 or 3 feet high, it's a big problem.
Okay, so let's do this. The elevation of the drop curve is around 91, okay? This is a 92 contour, and then by the time you get over to where the wall is at the property line, okay, you have an elevation of, again, 91. And so you're about 96, so you'd be about 5 feet high. So this wall would be 5 feet high there, 4 feet high there, 3, 2, 1. So just progressively down. It's not like the wall's real high, you can't see, okay, you should be able to back out. It's the same situation over here. So again, it's 4 foot, it's 5 foot high, 4 foot high, 3 foot high, 2 foot high, and then to 0.
You need approval, like George said, for the board, the village board, to be able to build within the right of way. You have the retaining wall in the right of way, right?
That's correct.
So they'll need to approve that, then we can draft up a quick agreement. Probably, I think we did it recently with an easement down on Get the Road, down here off of Main Street.
Should I reach out to you for that?
Yeah, we could see, if you want to move forward with it, I understand there was an issue about, if you hit rock, there may be an issue. If you want to move forward with that, we can get it on the next agenda, or propose to put on the next agenda, the request for the easement.
Okay, so I would like to do that. The other thing is, does the application have to go to the architectural review board?
For the
It's a
wall.
wall, for the wall, okay,
Yes.
so,
The wall.
all right, so we
Retaining walls over 30 inches go to ARB
I'll take
currently.
that. So can we go concurrently to the architectural review board?
Yeah, let's see
Sure.
why not.
Okay? So we want to go to the village board, we want to go to the architectural review board. We have a few things to deal with, technical issues that I have to sharpen on my drawings. And the other thing is, we want to encourage the applicant to do a test pit, see if there's any rock that can actually really drill down. Okay? It would be kind of difficult if we started excavating and we hit a rock.
You gonna do that first, the drill pit, before we move forward, or?
It's subject to complete
Yeah,
streets.
well, listen, I think we can go to the architectural.
No, because this is village.
It all depends on, how fast you want to go.
That's the funny part.
Find where the rock is,
I
okay?
think
So, listen, I just like to go as fast as I can in any direction I can.
Go to ARB, and we'll talk about the board of trustees. So you have to submit a letter requesting it.
Say again?
Submit a letter to the village administrator requesting to be on the agenda and what you're requesting it for.
Okay, so, listen, we're not gonna stop this even if we hit rock. It's just that we don't wanna start the job, find out we hit rock, and then, oh, what do we do now?
Okay.
Okay.
What do you do if you hit rock?
The only way I can see now is the last thing you can find, okay, you split it off.
Drill it and hammer it?
I'd like to try to split it. You can have it.
Can you be ready for a public hearing in December?
Well, should we go to the village board, first? Then you-
Yeah, that'll be-
You know what we should do, go to the village board, go to the architectural review board,
And
keep
then-
going ahead, get the part, and then when that's all done,
Then it's good.
okay,
All right.
then we come back and say, listen, let's have a public hearing.
Fine.
Okay,
You don't, you
Good.
don't have- you
That's
don't have
fine.
to have a
You good with
public
that?
hearing.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, well, we'll see you next spring.
We don't have to have a public hearing put on the site plan to go to the village.
No.
That's it.
Okay.
They may refer you back here.
Probably.
I wouldn't be surprised.
What's the thought process of the board generally on this proposed retaining walls and driveway? I mean, are you generally, you know,
Well,
seems okay, I mean, I'm not
which
voting-
board are we talking about?
Your board, about whether, forget about whether there's any easements required or
Yeah.
anything. Does it seem like a doable
I
project?
think, you know, efforts to get cars off the street are good. I mean, I think, you know, I just start from that point of view. The more cars you can get off the street, the better it is.
Especially on Broadway.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, the sight lines coming down are okay?
Yeah, everything's fine. I mean, it's a nice straight road, I just drove through it.
Yeah, I drove the other day past
yeah,
it.
I went 5 minutes.
I know, people from, that go to the hospital park on the other side.
Yeah.
From this house in the easterly direction, there's no parking, okay? So there's
Okay.
room, there's room to.
That's things that the board of trustees will be concerned about as well as this board, so they're gonna wanna know that if they consider it.
Darius, what's the deal about complete streets here? I mean, there aren't any sidewalks on either side.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Well,
mean, if the
It's
wall
too
is,
steep.
if the wall,
Let
Yeah,
us,
I mean, there's a little flat
let
space
us
there,
pull
but-
out the complete streets policy and take a look at it. We don't usually, I forget exactly the details of it, but
that
we'll
would be,
pull it out.
I mean, if
Yeah.
the wall is in front of where a sidewalk's gonna go, that might be a problem, but otherwise it's.
Yeah, we'll
okay.
pull it out and then, and maybe get one of the copies so you can
Sidewalk
see it.
on that street.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's new developments, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think this would count, because that's an existing house, all you do is
Right,
add
right,
a
okay.
driveway. It is for new development, a new
Gotcha.
house, that's why we were talking about it
Gotcha,
for
gotcha.
McClellan.
Okay.
But we'll pull it out anyway.
It might be beneficial, is it that everybody on the board, I know Steve's point of view sounds great, but is everybody concurred at where you can provide off-street parking, it's worth looking at? So when you go to the board of trustees, you didn't, if they want to refer you back here, you can at least say that it's a general policy of the planning board, they would like to see off-street parking created where it's feasible. Would that be fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, they may just send it back here.
Yeah.
Well, when I write them a letter, maybe I'll put that in the letter.
Yeah, I think that you could say you're at the meeting, there's a general sense that where it's feasible, they would like to see off-street parking created, and then to board this issue.
Okay, gotcha. Anything else?
No? Happy Thanksgiving. Item 6 on tonight's agenda.
Jim, sorry, just make one comment. I'll be kind of related to this, not
On what?
Pardon me?
On what? Well, no,
Sorry. Steve Sudak. The only reason I bring it up now is will become clear in a moment. As you know, I'm not here on this application. I have no problem with this application. It's not my concern. I do have issues with another application that is not on tonight's agenda and shouldn't be. But I was at home and I had downloaded the agenda. It's online and there were 6 items. And then I just decided to tune in at 8 o'clock, Duxbury TV, and I heard you say, November 3rd meeting, we have 7 items on the agenda. And I quickly dressed with no coordination at all of what I was wearing, but I got down here real quick because I didn't know what that 7th item was. Turns out it's not my concern.
it's not your favorite.
But it might be someone's concern. And the issue is that I have right now, actually the website is up. I have the village website up, and I have the agenda that's posted right now. As we speak, 6 items on the agenda. This was revised November 2nd. The one online is October 27th. And I just think that, I understand the logistics of changing things quickly, but this is the 2nd revision tonight. So I presume they were the first revision and the 2nd one. It just seems like, see, we come to rely on our technology after a while. In the old days, look outside in the hallway, look at the train station, see the agenda, it's the agenda. Now, instantaneous information and so forth. So I have the most up-to-date information on the village website. And,
Oh, she's gonna answer.
You got Liz.
If you click on village calendar on the website, click on the date of the meeting, the current agenda is there. On the website, as soon as it was a mistake.
It's, you can see at the beginning of the meeting, you know, a couple of the applicants wanted to bail out and stuff, so it's sort of a, you know, it does change at the last minute.
But, no, point taken,
well, that's good information.
point taken, but the village, I think, works very hard at having these up to date.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Try to do the best we can.
So we'll go to the calendar next time, in other words, and be ready.
Yeah, and check at the train station, and, you know,
Yeah.
Bit of a,
Thanks for bringing that up, though.
Yeah.
all right,
thank you.
thank you.
Item 6, public hearing for subdivision approval for a minor lot line adjustment to property located at tax lot number 4, 238 Clinton.
Hello,
And there you are.
I'm here on behalf of the 228 LLC with George Davis and myself, Mark Casella, and we want to convey a small parcel at the end of the lot to the Palusics, who had been using a piece of it for part of their patio for years and years and years. So, no problem selling it to them for $10 and letting them have it.
Yeah, this is just sort of, there's no provision in our code for lot line adjustments, they need a subdivision.
Yeah.
We met, Mr. Davis was here last week, last month, I met with him a couple times too, and so did Ed, so we scheduled a public hearing for today to just do that. It's really moving a line a few feet. You should open a public hearing, take any comment, and then act probably from there.
Okay. I move we open the public hearing. Is there a second? Second, all in favor? Second. Anybody want to make, you don't want to make, you don't want to make comments. You're item 7, I know.
Close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. All right, I have the following motion. Village Duxbury Planning Board subdivision review minor lot line adjustment to 238 Clinton Avenue, whereas the current owner of the property known as 238 Clinton Avenue, tax lot number, oh my God, has applied for minor lot line adjustment to accommodate a neighbor's encroachment on the owner's property. Whereas a survey received September 16, 2016 shows the proposed minor change decreasing the lot size at 238 Clinton and increasing the neighboring lot by 80 square feet. And whereas a public hearing was held on November 3 and comments taken, whereas the applicant has provided correspondence dated September 30 indicating that there is no impact on setbacks, whereas this minor lot line adjustment to a single-family property is type 2, requiring no further environmental review, and we now Be it resolved that the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry hereby finds the project is not inconsistent with the pertinent LWRP policies and grants subdivision approval for lot line adjustment subject to the following. 1, any costs incurred by the village for consultant fees and any out-of-pocket expenses paid by the applicant. 2, the following language shall be added to the project plan, approved, quote, approved, subject to all requirements and conditions of resolution dated November 3, 2006, of 2016. There's a typo,
The 2106, yeah.
typo in there, of the planning board of the Village of Dobbs Ferry. Any change, iteration, or modification, void the approval. Effective date November 3. I make the motion. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Last item on our agenda this evening, item 7, is a pre-submission conference for site plan review for proposed antenna support structure for amateur radio antenna on property located at 7 Forkland Lane. Sir.
Hi, number, formerly number 7, formerly number 6, now number 7. And in case anybody's not familiar, I provided some background information in the booklet.
Thank you, that was incredibly thorough.
Actually, I just had a couple of days to do it, and the main problem was trying to get folders that were all the same from Staples, which was impossible. Anyway, if you're not familiar, I provided some information about ham radio emergency services. I try to think of myself as hopefully an asset to the village. Just a little about myself, take 30 seconds if you want. Officer in the New York Guard, and I'm involved in emergency communications. It's a lot of my background. I'm also recently retired from the Westchester County Department of Public Safety as a deputy sheriff. Currently, which I did a lot of emergency communications over a number of years. Currently employed by ABC TV in New York, and of course I'm doing mostly communications work. The few things about the antenna support structure itself. The 60-foot proposed height is actually a minimum height given the frequency of operation and for reliable communications. The optimal height is actually quite a bit higher, about 96 to 100 feet. The support structure that I selected after doing some research is actually quite rugged. It will, given the antenna wind load, will survive winds of 110 miles an hour, which hopefully won't come to that. And another sheet which I included in there was an engineering analysis. There's also more information online, and basically, if in the very unlikely event the tower were to fall, instead of going like this, which wouldn't necessarily be that great, it'll go like this. It will only fall approximately 1/3 of its height from the base, which is a good thing. The location that I chose on my property was selected because one, it's farthest from the high voltage power lines. It's still far enough so that if it falls, it wouldn't hit them, which is a good thing. And it's, I think, in the least obtrusive spot, least obtrusive location. I did include some, hopefully not too much, some background information in the packet relating to the federal PRV1 ruling and the responsibility of municipalities related to such things. And just hope to make the process as straightforward and straightforward as possible without the need for a formal review.
That's incredibly interesting. It looks like the tower is right next to your house?
Yes.
What, I drove by there the other day. What is there, how would you describe what is there now?
What's there now is an antenna on a 40-foot tower, which I would have been thrilled to use. However, given the physics of the tower now, it wouldn't support the adding 20 feet to it and be structurally sound, unfortunately. So the frequencies that I propose to use actually would require a new structure.
When was that built? The old one?
That was built in 1989.
Approvals, but from the village or no?
Yes, yes.
We want to do a little research on it, Ed and I, and let me just ask, you have the one, we have, I guess, a sheet that shows a 60-foot height circled, and also talks about 120 feet on a tower elevation. Which one is it, just so it's clear, so we understand?
I'm sorry, which, sorry.
I'm looking at the sheet titled HDLD Tower Models, Allowable Design Loaded.
Yeah.
What page
Is that an example?
No, this is the actual specific model.
Well, the elevation of, the
Elevation.
tower that's at elevation shows 120 feet, but you are buying the same tower but a different model that's,
What page
Oh,
is
no,
that?
no, that's,
Great.
see, this sheet includes all models of
Okay.
tower by the same manufacturer, and that's the highest one of this model.
But that's not what, you're proposing something 60 feet, or I heard you say 100 also, what's this?
No, that was the optimal height, proposing 60.
60 feet, so 20 feet taller than the one you currently have.
Correct.
And the one you currently have will remain?
I'm sorry?
The one you currently have will remain?
Yes.
Okay. Let us look into the legalities of it. You may need a variance for the height,
Two towers?
so you have 2 towers as a proposal.
Well, I don't believe there's anything related to imagery of towers anywhere in the,
Well, we see this
No,
as,
but we do have something as for accessory structure.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
We do have code governing accessory structures,
Okay.
which are a maximum 20 feet high. So if this is not a cell tower, you're excluded from a wireless telecommunication facility because it's personal, then it becomes accessory to your residential use. So then, and it is a structure, so it is an accessory structure. So to be more than 20 feet would require a zoning variance.
we're gonna see if it's permitted, this type of accessory structure also. So,
Can I ask why you need to keep the existing one?
The existing one has the antenna on it, which covers different frequency bands used for various types of communications, whether they be local or more distant.
But is it possible to mount that antenna on your new structure?
That was looked into, and the additional wind loading on the existing tower, even ignoring the height, the additional wind loading would not be a structurally sound thing to do.
now what about the new one you said?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Put the
If
old
you
one
added
on
that
the-
load to the new one, it wouldn't be sound.
Put
If
the
you
old one
put the old one
on
on the,
on
if you put the new one on the old one base.
No.
Then it would,
No,
Right.
but I
It
was
wouldn't be-
saying,
it
if
wouldn't-
you
it wouldn't be-
construct a new tower with your antenna on top of that, and then if you took I don't know how big the antenna is on the old tower, take that off the old tower, mount it halfway up the new tower, and remove the old tower, is that feasible?
That would be feasible, that would be feasible,
Because that would be preferable than to have twin
Because
towers.
it's possible to mount, with a, say, a 10-foot mast, which is a typical mast, to mount both antennas on one mast.
Yeah.
So that would be feasible.
Do we need lightning protection on these towers?
It comes with lightning protection, actually. The towers are grounded at the base, and there are also these little bubble packs that are not lightning arresters. They basically, there's a little cartridge in there that in case it hits lightning, it opens up so the lightning current won't go into the house. Oh,
That would be good.
It's very wooded up there.
I'm sorry?
It's very wooded up there.
do you have any of the old approvals? I mean, we're gonna look through our files to see what we have. Do you have your approvals?
I believe I have the original building permit, and actually,
Do you know if you got a variance then?
no, actually what it would be,
I know it's an old code, yeah.
the procedure, if I remember correctly, all I did was I went to the building department and
Yeah, the code's changed though, so.
applied, and it was relatively, quick.
Yeah, there's a few of them around town, but codes have changed.
All right, so we'll get back to you on that, and if you have anything, you should bring it to the building department so we can look at it.
Okay,
That's not already in your packet.
okay. So you're saying you don't have anything on file, is that?
We don't know, we gotta look,
We didn't say that.
we gotta look.
Just a quick question. The distance to the neighbor's house,
Yeah.
is that's much greater than 60 feet?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
that's probably 150.
Okay.
Is it fair to say that your neighbors are comfortable with your current situation?
Yeah, in fact, the guy who you just mentioned, he has actually, his father was a ham operator, and
So he's all over it, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Does this require any warning lights, blinking lights?
no, that's only if you're doing discipline.
Well, you know more about this than we do, so we've got to catch up.
No, this is really,
We have not
this is
had
really
an
interesting.
intelligent
It's super
conversation.
thorough.
Okay, I don't know.
We gotta look at it.
All right, so-
legalities.
All right, we'll continue this to the next meeting, and then there would probably, in the best case, we would call for a public hearing in January and be able to go forward then, but we'll see,
Okay,
step by step.
okay,
Good, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Me too.
Anybody opposed?
Go on.
Well, that was